Section 1 of The Black Riders and Other Lines by Stephen Crane. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Chuck Williamson. The Black Riders and Other Lines by Stephen Crane. 1. Black riders came from the sea. There was clang and clang of spear and shield, and clash of hoof and heel, wild shouts in the wave of hair, in the rush upon the wind. Thus the ride of sin. 2. 3 little birds in a row sat musing. A man passed near that place. Then did the little birds nudge each other. They said, "He thinks he can sing." They threw back their heads to laugh. With quaint countenances they regarded him. They were very curious, those 3 little birds in a row. 3. In the desert I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the ground, held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, "Is it good, friend?" "It is bitter, bitter," he answered. "But I like it, because it is bitter, and because it is my heart." 4. Yes, I have 1,000 tongues, and 99 lie. Though I strive to use the one, it will make no melody at my will, but is dead in my mouth. 5. Once there came a man who said, "Range me all men of the world in rows." And instantly there was a terrific clamor among the people against being ranged in rows. There was a loud quarrel worldwide. It endured for ages, and blood was shed by those who would not stand in rows and by those who pined to stand in rows. Eventually, the man went to death, weeping, and those who stayed in bloody scuffle knew not the great simplicity. 6. God fashioned the ship of the world carefully with the infinite skill of an all-master. Made he the hull and the sails, held he the rudder, ready for adjustment. Erect stood he, scanning his work proudly. Then, at fateful time, a wrong called, and God turned heeding. Lo, the ship at this opportunity slipped slyly, making cunning, noiseless travel down the ways, so that forever rudderless it went upon the seas, going ridiculous voyages, making quaint progress, turning as with serious purpose before stupid winds. And there were many in the sky who laughed at this thing. 7. Mystic shadow, bending near me, who art thou? Whence come ye? And tell me, is it fair, or is the truth bitter as eaten fire? Tell me, fear not that I should quaver, for I dare, then tell me. 8. I looked here, I looked there, nowhere could I see my love. And this time she was in my heart. Truly then I have no complaint, for though she be fair and fairer, she is none so fair as she in my heart. 9. I stood upon a high place and saw below many devils, running, leaping, and carousing in sin. One looked up, grinning, and said, "Comrade, brother." 10. Should the wide world roll away, leaving black terror, limitless night, nor God, nor man, nor place to stand would be to me essential, if thou in thy white arms were there, and the fall to doom a long way. 11. In a lonely place I encountered a sage, who sat all still, regarding a newspaper. He accosted me, "Sir, what is this?" Then I saw that I was greater, I, greater than this sage. I answered him at once, old man, it is the wisdom of the age." The sage looked upon me with admiration. 12. And the sins of the fathers shall be visited upon the heads of the children, even unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me. Well then, I hate thee, unrighteous picture. Wicked image, I hate thee. So strike with thy vengeance the heads of those little men who come blindly. It will be a brave thing. 13. If there is a witness to my little life, to my tiny throes and struggles, he sees a fool, and it is not fine for gods to menace fools. 14. There was a crimson clash of war. Lands turned black and bare. Women wept. Babes ran, wondering. There came one who understood not these things. He said, "Why is this?" Whereupon 1,000,000 strove to answer him. There was such intricate clamor of tongues that still the reason was not. 15. Tell brave deeds of war. Then they recounted tales. There were stern stands and bitter runs for glory. I think there were braver deeds. 16. Charity, thou art a lie, a toy of women, a pleasure of certain men. In the presence of justice, lo, the walls of the temple are visible through thy form of sudden shadows. 17. There were many who went in huddled procession, they knew not whither, but at any rate, success or calamity would attend all in equality. There was one who sought a new road. He went into direful thickets, and ultimately he died thus, alone. But they said he had courage. End of section 1. Section 2 of The Black Riders and Other Lines by Stephen Crane. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. 18. In heaven, some little blades of grass stood before God. What did you do? Then all save one of the little blades began eagerly to relate the merits of their lives. This one stayed a small way behind, ashamed. Presently, God said, "And what did you do?" The little blade answered, "Oh, my Lord, memory is bitter to me, for if I did good deeds, I know not of them." Then God in all his splendor arose from his throne. "O best little blade of grass," he said. 19. A god in wrath was beating a man. He cuffed him loudly with thunderous blows that rang and rolled over the earth. All people came running. The man screamed and struggled and bit madly at the feet of the god. The people cried, "Ah, what a wicked man!" and "Ah, what a redoubtable god!" 20. A learned man came to me once. He said, "I know the way, come." And I was overjoyed at this. Together we hastened. Soon, too soon, were we where my eyes were useless, and I knew not the ways of my feet. I clung to the hand of my friend, but at last he cried, "I am lost." 21. There was before me mile upon mile of snow, ice, burning sand, and yet I could look beyond all this to a place of infinite beauty, and I could see the loveliness of her who walked in the shade of the trees. When I gazed, all was lost but this place of beauty and her. When I gazed, and in my gazing desired, then came again mile upon mile of snow, ice, burning sand. 22. Once I saw mountains angry and ranged in battle front. Against them stood a little man. Aye, he was no bigger than my finger. I laughed and spoke to one near me. "Will he prevail?" "Surely," replied this other. "His grandfathers beat them many times." Then did I see much virtue in grandfathers, at least for the little man who stood against the mountains. 23. Places among the stars, soft gardens near the sun, keep your distant beauty. Shed no beams upon my weak heart. Since she is here in a place of blackness, not your golden days nor your silver nights can call me to you. Since she is here in a place of blackness, here I stay and wait. 24. I saw a man pursuing the horizon. Round and round they sped. I was disturbed at this. I accosted the man. "It is futile," I said. "You can never—" "You lie," he cried, and ran on. 25. Behold, the grave of a wicked man, and near it a stern spirit. There came a drooping maid with violets, but the spirit grasped her arm. "No flowers for him," he said. The maid wept. "I loved him." But the spirit, grim and frowning, "No flowers for him." Now this is it. If the spirit was just, why did the maid weep? 26. There was set before me a mighty hill, and long days I climbed through regions of snow. When I had before me the summit view, it seemed that my labor had been to see gardens lying at impossible distances. 27. A youth in apparel that glittered went to walk in a grim forest. There he met an assassin attired all in garb of old days. He, scowling through the thickets, and dagger poised quivering, rushed upon the youth. "Sir," said the latter, "I am enchanted, believe me, to die thus, in this medieval fashion, according to the best legends. Ah, what joy!" Then took he the wound, smiling, and died content. 28. Truth, said a traveler, is a rock, a mighty fortress. Often have I been to it, even to its highest tower, from whence the world looks black. Truth, said a traveler, is a breath, a wind, a shadow, a phantom. Long have I pursued it, but never have I touched the hem of its garment. And I believed the second traveler, for truth was to me a breath, a wind, a shadow, a phantom, and never had I touched the hem of its garment. 29. Behold, from the land of the farther suns I returned, and I was in a reptile swarming place, people otherwise with grimaces, shrouded above in black impenetrableness. I shrank, loathing, sick with it, and I said to him, "What is this?" He made answer slowly, "Spirit, this is a world. This was your home." 30. Supposing that I should have the courage to let a red sword of virtue plunge into my heart, letting to the weeds of the ground my sinful blood, what can you offer me? A gardened castle? A flowery kingdom? What a hope! Then hence with your red sword of virtue. 31. Many workmen built a huge ball of masonry upon a mountain top. Then they went to the valley below and turned to behold their work. "It is grand," they said. They loved the thing. Of a sudden it moved, it came upon them swiftly, it crushed them all to blood. But some had opportunity to squeal. 32. 2 or 3 angels came near to the earth. They saw a fat church. Little black streams of people came and went in continually. And the angels were puzzled to know why the people went thus, and why they stayed so long within. 33. There was one who I met upon the road who looked at me with kind eyes. He said, "Show me your wares." And this I did, holding forth one. He said, "It is a sin." Then held I forth another. He said, "It is a sin." Then held I forth another. He said, "It is a sin." And so to the end always he said, "It is a sin." And finally I cried out, "But I have none other." Then did he look at me with kinder eyes. "Poor soul," he said. 34. I stood upon a highway, and behold, there came many strange peddlers. To me each one made gestures, holding forth little images, saying, "This is my pattern of God. Now this is the God I prefer." But I said, "Hence, leave me with mine own, and take you yours away. I can't buy of your patterns of God the little gods you may rightly prefer." End of section 2. Section 3 of The Black Riders and Other Lines by Stephen Crane. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. 35. A man saw a ball of gold in the sky. He climbed for it, and eventually he achieved it. It was clay. Now this is the strange part. When the man went to the earth and looked again, lo, there was the ball of gold. Now this is the strange part. It was a ball of gold. Aye, by the heavens, it was a ball of gold. 36. I met a seer. He held in his hands the book of wisdom. "Sir," I addressed him, "let me read it." "Oh, child," he began. "Sir," I said, "think not that I am a child, for already I know much of that which you hold. Aye, much." He smiled. Then he opened the book and held it before me. Strange that I should have grown so suddenly blind. 37. On the horizon the peaks assembled, and as I looked, the march of the mountains began. As they marched, they sang, "Aye, we come, we come." 38. The ocean said to me once, "Look, yonder on the shore is a woman weeping. I have watched her. Go you and tell her this. Her lover I have laid in cool green hall. There is wealth of golden sand and pillars coral red. 2 white fish stand guard at his bier. Tell her this and more, that the king of the seas weeps too. Old helpless man, the bustling fates heap his hands with corpses, until he stands like a child with surplus of toys." 39. The livid lightnings flashed in the clouds. The leaden thunders crashed. A worshipper raised his arm. "Hearken, hearken, the voice of God." "Not so," said a man. "The voice of God whispers in the heart so softly that the soul pauses, making no noise, and strives for these melodies, distant, sighing, like faintest breath, and all the being is still to hear." 40. And you love me. I love you. You are then cold, coward. Aye, but beloved, when I strive to come to you, man's opinions, 1,000 thickets, my interwoven existence, my life, caught in the stubble of the world like a tender veil. This stays me. No strange move can I make without noise of tearing. I dare not. If love loves, there is no world nor word. All is lost save thought of love and place to dream. You love me? I love you. You are then cold, coward. Aye, but beloved. 41. Love walked alone. The rocks cut her tender feet and the brambles tore her fair limbs. There came a companion to her, but alas, he was no help, for his name was Heart's Pain. 42. I walked in a desert, and I cried, "Ah, God, take me from this place." A voice said, "It is no desert." I cried, "Well, but the sand, the heat, the vacant horizon." A voice said, "It is no desert." 43. There came whisperings in the winds, "Goodbye, goodbye." Little voices called in the darkness, "Goodbye, goodbye." Then I stretched forth my arms. No, no. There came whisperings in the wind, "Goodbye, goodbye." Little voices called in the darkness, "Goodbye, goodbye." 44. I was in the darkness. I could not see my words nor the wishes of my heart. Then suddenly there was a great light. Let me into the darkness again. 45. Tradition, thou art for suckling children, thou art the enlivening milk for babes, but no meat for men is in thee. Then, but alas, we are all babes. 46. Many red devils ran from my heart and out upon the page. They were so tiny the pen could mash them, and many struggled in the ink. It was strange to write in this red muck of things from my heart. 47. Think as I think, said a man, or you are abominably wicked. You are a toad. And after I had thought of it, I said, I will then be a toad. 48. Once there was a man, oh so wise. In all drink he detected the bitter, and in all touch he found the sting. At last he cried thus, there is nothing, no life, no joy, no pain. There is nothing save opinion. An opinion be damned. 49. I stood musing in a black world, not knowing where to direct my feet, and I saw the quick stream of men, pouring ceaselessly, filled with eager faces, a torrent of desire. I called to them, where do you go? What do you see? 1,000 voices called to me, 1,000 fingers pointed. Look, look, there! I know not of it, but lo, in the far sky shone a radiance, ineffable, divine, a vision painted upon a pall, and sometimes it was, and sometimes it was not. I hesitated. Then from the stream came roaring voices, impatient. Look, look, there! So again I saw and leaped unhesitant, and struggled and fumed with outspread clutching fingers. The hard hills tore my flesh, the ways bit my feet. At last I looked again. No radiance in the far sky, ineffable, divine. No vision painted upon a pall, and always my eyes ached for the light. Then I cried in despair, I see nothing. Oh, where do I go? The torrent turned again its faces. Look, look, there! And at the blindness of my spirit they screamed, fool, fool, fool. 50. You say you are holy, and that because I have not seen you sin. Aye, but there are those who see you sin, my friend. 51. A man went before a strange god, the god of many men, sadly wise. And the deity thundered loudly, fat with rage and puffing, kneel, mortal, and cringe, and grovel and do homage to my particularly sublime majesty. The man fled. Then the man went to another god, the god of his inner thoughts, and this one looked at him with soft eyes lit with infinite comprehension, and said, my poor child. End of section 3. Section 4. Of the Black Riders and Other Lines, by Stephen Crane. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. 52. Why do you strive for greatness, fool? Go pluck a bough and wear it. It is as sufficing. My lord, there are certain barbarians who tilt their noses as if the stars were flowers, and thy servant is lost among their shoe buckles. Fain would I have my eyes even with their eyes. Fool, go pluck a bough and wear it. 53. 1. Blustering God, stamping across the sky with loud swagger, I fear you not. No, though from your highest heaven you plunge your spear at my heart, I fear you not. No, not if the blow is as lightning blasting a tree, I fear you not, puffing braggart. 2. If thou can see into my heart that I fear thee not, thou wilt see why I fear thee not, and why it is right. So threaten not thou with thy bloody spears, else thy sublime ears shall hear curses. 3. Withal, there is one whom I fear. I fear to see grief upon that face. Perchance, friend, he is not your God. If so, spit upon him. By it you will do no profanity, but sooner would I die than see tears in those eyes of my soul. 54. It was wrong to do this, said the angel. You should live like a flower, holding malice like a puppy, waging war like a lambkin. Not so, quoth the man, who had no fear of spirits. It is only wrong for angels, who can live like the flowers, holding malice like the puppies, waging war like the lambkins. 55. A man toiled on a burning road, never resting. Once he saw a fat, stupid ass grinning at him from a green place. The man cried out in rage, Do not deride me, fool! I know you. All day stuffing your belly, burying your heart in grass and tender sprouts. It will not suffice you. But the ass only grinned at him from the green place. 56. A man feared that he might find an assassin, another that he might find a victim. One was more wise than the other. 57. With eye and with gesture you say you are holy. I say you lie, for I did see you draw away your coats from the sin upon the hands of a little child. Liar! 58. The sage lectured brilliantly. Before him, 2 images. Now this one is a devil, and this one is me. He turned away. Then a cunning pupil changed the positions, turned the sage again. Now this one is a devil, and this one is me. The pupils sat all grinning, and rejoiced in the game, but the sage was a sage. 59. Walking in the sky, a man in strange black garb encountered a radiant form. Then his steps were eager. Bowed he devoutly. "My lord," said he, but the spirit knew him not. 60. Upon the road of my life passed me many fair creatures. clothed all in white and radiant. To one finally I made speech, "Who art thou?" But she, like the others, kept cowled her face, and answered in haste, anxiously, "I am Good Deed, forsooth. You have often seen me." "Not uncowled," I made reply, and with rash and strong hand, though she resisted, I drew away the veil and gazed at the features of vanity. She, shamefaced, went on, and after I had mused a time, I said of myself, "Fool." 61. 1. There was a man and a woman who sinned. Then did the man heap the punishment all upon the head of her, and went away gaily. 2. There was a man and a woman who sinned, and the man stood with her. As upon her head, so upon his, fell blow and blow, and all people screaming, "Fool!" He was a brave heart. 3. He was a brave heart. Would you speak with him, friend? Well, he is dead, and there went your opportunity. Let it be your grief that he is dead, and your opportunity gone, for in that you were a coward. 62. There was a man who lived a life of fire. Even upon the fabric of time, where purple becomes orange and orange purple, this life glowed, a dire red stain, indelible. Yet when he was dead, he saw that he had not lived. 63. There was a great cathedral. To solemn songs, a white procession moved toward the altar. The chief man there was erect and bore himself proudly, yet some could see him cringe, as in a place of danger, throwing frightened glances into the air, a start at threatening faces of the past. 64. Friend, your white beard sweeps the ground. Why do you stand expectant? Do you hope to see it in one of your withered days? With your old eyes, do you hope to see the triumphal march of justice? Do not wait, friend. Take your white beard and your old eyes to more tender lands. 65. Once I knew a fine song. It is true, believe me. It was all of birds, and I held them in a basket. When I opened the wicket, heavens, they all flew away. I cried, "Come back, little thoughts," but they only laughed. They flew on until they were as sand thrown between me and the sky. 66. If I should cast off this tattered coat and go free into the mighty sky, if I should find nothing there but a vast blue, echoless, ignorant, what then? 67. God lay dead in heaven. Angels sang the hymn of the end. Purple winds went moaning, their wings dripping with blood that fell upon the earth. It, groaning thing, turned black and sank. Then from the far caverns of dead sins came monsters, livid with desire. They fought, wrangled over the world, a morsel, But of all sadness, this was sad. A woman's arms tried to shield the head of a sleeping man from the jaws of the final beast. 68. A spirit sped through spaces of night, and as he sped, he called, "God, God." He went through valleys of black death slime, ever calling, "God, God." Their echoes from crevice to cavern mocked him, "God, God, God." Fleetly into the plains of space he went, ever calling, "God, God." Eventually then he screamed, mad in denial, "There is no God." A swift hand, a sword from the sky, smote him, and he was dead. End of section 4. End of The Black Riders and Other Lines by Stephen Crane.